Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live Scribbles with Jonathan. You can check out my website and my work at jonathanrector.com. And please head on over to patreon.com/jonathanrector. There's a whole bunch of goodies on there. And like I said in the last video, I did include a new goal that I used to have, got rid of it, now it's back again for those interested, which is the one-on-one Google Hangout sessions. And what that is, basically, we can talk about whatever you like, from anatomy to storytelling to comics to portfolios to whatever you like. Some people, they just like to have a little chit chat, just sort of like a little art buddy for a little while. All kinds of things. So please head on over there and check it out. How's it going, Fire Freak? Exactly, exactly. Actually, Fire Freak in the chat right now. We actually had a Patreon session last night, and we were drawing and talking a lot of different things, but most of it was focusing on heads. And I was just doing a quick sketch here. I haven't had a chance to do any personal work today. I just got pretty much home from work a little while ago and some running around, but now we're going to finally get to work on some more Jessup King. I believe it's pretty much, let me open it up here. I think it's in the same spot as the last time you guys had seen it. Yep, and all we're doing is worrying about the line art now. So I've been watching some videos, old videos of mine, and I think I might. I know I go back and forth on this all the time, and I always say, like less is more, which is what I'm trying to think of always going to the Freddy method, with the deadline, which we'll be doing today. But I was just watching some videos, and there's a part of me that says just inking like this over top of the lines that I have, as opposed to doing the lines and then inking like an extra step almost there. This is the faster way to do it. Ultimately, it's all that what's going to get us the most pages fastest, and that's my goal. That's that's pretty much the whole point of doing any of it. I do like the look of both, so we're going to fiddle around with that. Today, though, we're going to go just with what we're doing. This shouldn't take too long, and what we'll be able to get into is some inking as well, which is going to be very exciting. Because then we can get into some colors and some good stuff with that as well. Now, before I get drawing, I just wanted to point out to you guys one other thing, and this will be the last thing I'll chirp about until we start drawing, is I just uploaded 2 videos. I believe it was yesterday. Yeah, I want to say it was yesterday. Maybe it was Monday. Either way, it's the productivity video that I promised you guys for a while now. And there's 2 versions. One's, I think, about 50 minutes where I go over in depth a little bit more of each of the pieces of software that I use. And then there's a shorter version you can watch. Unfortunately, I could only get it to 20 minutes. I wanted it to be about 10 and under. But there is a shorter version that I do address in case you're short on time and stuff. But please check those videos out because, again, I do recommend and I highly suggest people check that stuff out because there's definitely stuff that's there that I think will help everybody. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, what part of the game you're in, if you're just getting started, or if you're full-time freelance right now, or if you're working a day job and you're drawing when you get home. I do think having tools to help you in making your goals become real, that it's the secret to that age-old question that everybody always asks, like, how do you find the time? That's really all it is being more organized will get you more time. As for the actual sitting down and drawing, that's going to be willpower, which I can't really help you too much on that one. But yeah, check those videos out, and I do hope that helps some of you guys out. So let's just delete this here. We don't need that. So you can see we got Jessup here, just doing this. I just want to see where my layers were. So there's something funky going on with the back here. And what it is, now that I've seen it, last night I believe I was working on a little bit on this. There's like this weird like bulging sort of area here, and I think the reason why it looks weird is, sorry, I got something in my throat, is we have to be thinking like this, the actual shapes that these are, like in perspective, right? And because of that, there's some stuff that's going on here where I have like the center of his back coming in and then coming down, which is great. But there's a muscle that still pops over here. And now that I'm seeing this after the fact, we're just gonna fix it. Right? And literally just adding this line in like that fixes it right away. So if I turn it off, maybe you guys will be able to see it. It sort of just looks flat, but by actually breaking up the lines with an extra line right there, it literally makes it solid. It no longer feels off. How's it going, Minecraft girl? So we're going to go ahead and bring that back in here. I'm going to connect it to the muscle. That way it's not just like his body that's there, it's the muscle that's making that cut into the body. We can turn that. Is it this one that we had? Yeah, we can delete this guy. And we're just going to erase this crap. There we go. Cool. Much better. At least more better than it was. So, where's my sheet over there? Oops, let me open this up here. I don't draw Jessup too much from the back. So I'll definitely be improving all that stuff here. But I know I have his model sheet, and I just want to bring that up. Jessup turnaround. Because it's this part right here that I need to see. And I actually forgot about this part right here. His little, like, almost like his butt. His butt design, whatever the hell is in there. Hey, Kevin. It's been a while, man. How you been? I don't know about better than Netflix. It's getting a little kooky talk. So I'm just gonna put the idea of his little Pokeballs on the side there. One, two, three. We can just erase it. So a friend of mine, he hasn't been in the stream as often. He lives in I want to say it's New Zealand, but it's not. We were just talking about New Zealand. Australia. Is that New Zealand? I have no idea. Either way, Darren, and he's probably not in the chat right now anyway, but he does watch it, and he's been here, a bunch of times. But he was just, we were just kind of briefly talking today, and he asked a good question, and I wanted to reach out to you guys as well, my artist crew. He was talking about hobbies. Do I have any hobbies? Started telling me some of his hobbies and stuff. And I actually kind of take a back and sort of think about it because I know I have interests. And yeah, art is a hobby for sure, just like he was saying. Um, but perhaps these are my interests are my hobbies, and really, it's been Magic the Gathering, movies, reading books, just basically entertainment of any kind. And the reason I brought that up was because, like most people, I have a job, and then when I come home, I would like more of my income sort of thing to be coming from comic books and stuff, or at least it'd be interesting to see how far that can go. And it's at least making my own stuff, right? Uh, that'd be a huge thing for me. So I have to sort of like it's two shoes. It's one of them is it is it's not really a hobby because I'm making money off of it and I want it to be more serious than a hobby. Um, so it's sort of like a second job in that regard. So I can't really I don't feel right calling it a hobby, just doing what I'm doing here. But that just made me think like I was thinking of other people that have hobbies like golfing or fishing or poker night with the guy. Well, that's not even really a hobby, I don't think. That's just something fun to do. But like making trains or collecting things, I don't know. I had a hard time thinking of just what hobbies were, And I know that sounds pretty stupid. At least it does to me, anyway. Um, Sorry, I'm all over the place here. I just want to make sure I get this going. F9, is it? There we go. But yeah, I was trying to think of it, and I was like, maybe it is just like Magic the Gathering that I play and stuff like that when I have the time to do that. Maybe it's just that stuff. Maybe that's my hobby. So what I wanted to ask you guys was, what are your hobbies? What do you guys do if you don't consider art to be your hobby? I know some people it's like casual that they draw, so maybe in that case it's more of a hobby. Or is it just video games? Do you guys have time for hobbies? I guess that's another good question too. Hey, Dr. Sparkle. Did you change your name? I think you changed your name. Means hobbies I either read or play D&D with a bunch of my friends. man, Dungeons and Dragons. I miss me some Dungeons and Dragons. So that's what I'm thinking it is then. Maybe it's just Jordan saying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and working out. I wish I was like you. Frederick, work is a hobby as well as comics, drawing a big hobby. See, so yeah, maybe I think it's just that. Like, not that there's anything wrong or I'm looking for the right answer or anything. I thought it was interesting. It took me a second to sort of go like, some things that I don't have much time for that I'm interested in. Is that considered a hobby? Like, you know what? Actually, hold on. This isn't art related at all. Uh, Definition of a hobby. An activity done regularly in one's leisure time for pleasure. Her hobbies are reading and gardening. All right, so yeah, an activity done regularly. So yeah, I guess that would just basically be it. Video games. Yeah, I guess, yeah. See, like maybe that's maybe I'm turning it into something more than it really is. Like I was just trying to think like what was getting me locked up there a little bit was like, all right, well if a hobby is something that like you're I guess passionate about, and like poker night with the guys, I'll just keep using that as the analogy here is like more of a that's just like an interest you have. It's something fun to do. Like going to the movies, I don't know if I'd consider that a hobby unless I was like really going to the movies. But I guess I was wrong. The definition was the definition says otherwise. Let's give her a little freckles here. Eating is your awesome. Would dicking around and avoiding homework on YouTube count? Yes. Like, well, I mean, if you do it for leisure, like, apparently it is the definition. Yes. Sorry if I'm slurping here, guys. I'm trying to suck back a little bit of coffee here. Get that artificial second energy. Matthew, John, I am stuck in a rut right now. How do you force yourself to work on projects that you may not have the drive for, but need to for? Ah, wow. Oh, hello. That's a tricky one. I suppose. Okay, I was in the same boat with. I had projects lined up as well. Even when I briefly went freelance, and I actually burned that opportunity. What I finally had the stones, I guess, or maybe I wasn't ready to go freelance, but I thought I was, and I think I actually had a pretty good chance. But I screwed it up. I took it way too. I didn't take it as serious as I did because I thought like well if I need work there's always work, and it's true. You can always find work if you absolutely had to. You wouldn't pay the best and stuff, but that's what I'm talking about. You could find work if you absolutely had to, right? But what one thing that I wasn't prepared for and that seriously hamstrung me was exactly what you're talking about. Literally just the willpower and the discipline to sit down and do the work. And I find it so funny because whenever I would work in a retail job or like in a factory or something, yeah, I didn't want to do it, but I was still able to get up and you know, do the job. And I think what that came down to is just the fact that comics they start tapping into a whole different part of your brain that physical labor or even just like retail where you're just sort of like either punching things in a till or anything, right? It just asks different things of your brain, and I wasn't prepared. I took it way too childishly. And it's actually a regret I have because it's one of those. Well, who knows what could have happened if I actually um, was more mature about it, And that's not a shot against you or anything, but just to directly answer your question, I really, I mean, you got to find something that motivates you. The Standard was a huge project I was on, and that took me, oh man, like very close to 4 years, and that was 6 issues, right? So that's like well, what, 4 issues in a year, right? So that's like every year in a quarter or so. or a year and a half for 2 issues, and that's and I mean I wasn't just freelance the whole time I did that, but there was tons of time. I mean, maybe you're okay. Are you working on a big project? Maybe that might help as well. Hey, welcome, man. Haven't seen you either. Yeah, we got a lot of the older cats back. This is awesome. Feels like the old band's coming together again. 4 projects at once. Well, so that's a little different. Um, and I never try to. I always feel like this makes me sound conceited because I always go like, well, when I did this and I did that. But I'm just trying to just share my experience with it, and maybe I can find help a solution or something like that with that way. But there's definitely times when I would take lots of projects, and sometimes I had to send out those real shitty emails that if you're doing, even if you're not doing freelance, they're not professional to send out like, sorry, I took on too much work and I can't. I won't have your project done. That's never a good feeling because I would know if I was somebody and I hired somebody to do like some work for me and they said, sorry, I can't finish a project because I took somebody else's project as well. Like that sort of feels kind of like leaves me sour on the inside, right? Like, I really don't like that. It's very unprofessional. But I know the reality of taking as many projects as you can because you never know when you're going to work again, right? So you got to do what you got to do. I understand that. So have you tried the Pomodoro technique that I talk about? Because what I found helped me was there was 2 things. One was I'll actually bring it up right now. I brought it up in the video I just posted, which is Trello, and I'm going to bring it up here. I think there might be. I think there's a like a muscle guy here. Yeah, don't worry about him. It's reference. But what I really dig about this piece of software here, and it's totally free, is I'm able to just like line up the projects I have and then start hammering out due dates. And I find that as long as I'm not working on the same project day in, day out, that helps me because it keeps me energized. Like I'm always coming to a project, even if I don't want to do it, I'm coming to it somewhat with some new energy, you know. So I would recommend Trello, maybe to do some organizing, and then the Pomodoro thing helps because I know I still get my breaks. Like every 25 minutes, I get a 5-minute break, or you could do 10, whatever you need to do. But knowing that I have a break and I can go do something I want to do, that actually helped push me through my last few, actually my whole last 2 issues of the standard. And I love that book. I thought we all did a really good job. But because it's just something that it's always there, and I always felt like I can't do my own thing. Lots of things that get in your own head. Working on something a lot. It's some people can do it, and I think it's very professional to be able to do that. But some of us find ourselves in a situation like you're saying, right? That you're doing it for a paycheck, and people know that. I think deep down inside, people want to hire people that are like, "Hey, I want to hire you as an artist for my book, but I want you to be like as passionate about that project as I am." And I think that's so rare. Not that it's impossible, but I talk. It's not that I don't want to say that I talk to a lot, but I have a few comic friends, and I've only heard that once. Somebody saying that they love it almost as much as the writer. Once in like the 15 years I've been working on stuff. Once, right? And that's just real talk. Most of this is just we need a paycheck, right? So I don't know, man. Hopefully that helps. Like just trying to think of like the Pomodoro technique I'd recommend, just because you can break up your time and still get breaks, and it feels like it's the best of both worlds for me in everything I've ever tried. That thing I always feel at least that I'm making progress, and that's helped me big time. And then Trello, I would recommend just to have so I can always look at that and be aware of what stage my projects are at. So I hope that helps you out there, bud. 10 weeks long. Well, 10 weeks left. Yeah, maybe just break it up into what you have. I mean, it's tough. I just feel like that's such a shitty, shitty way to just like end something. It's like, oh well, wish you the best. Okay, so in this panel here, I like the text is kind of getting, it's kind of bugging me because it's pushing Jessup way too far down. So I don't even know how much. What do we got here? Hmm. Well, let's see how editable this stuff is. Yeah, see, like even Dr. Sparkle's saying the same. It's true. And I've been noticing, I don't know if it, well, it has to be because I'm getting older. It's actually real shitty. Is like I'm like really enjoying naps. Not even necessarily because I like they're the best thing ever, but like I need it, and it's pretty ridiculous. Like it's kind of scary to be honest with you because I don't want to I don't know, it feels like that's a sign of age where it's like, well, you got to take your nap. You're gonna get cranky and stuff, but that helps me just like a little break in between things. I don't know, it sounds stupid. All right, I'm actually getting upset. I'm not going to worry about the text with you guys right now because it's kind of getting hairy here. By the time I get to the inks, I'll do this after. The reason why is this ha 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 part is actually just a custom drawn balloon, but it's breaking the panel and it doesn't flow right. And the reason why I'm moving it around is because I want these guys, like especially Jessup, I don't want him down here like almost to the border. I want some room for him to breathe. It's not so tight. Give him some room to play with in the background there. Hey Meep, what's up, bud? Little monkey, ever had non-artist person look through your gallery and see a suggested photo and look at you like, oh yeah. I think that happens when you're younger. The older you get, you kind of get more mature about things. So when people say stuff like, uh, I felt like when I was in high school and I was doing life drawing for the first time and telling people like I had to look at I and I don't mean to be vulgar here, but the one thing that stood out to me like almost the second week of doing it was there was this heavier chap and doing whatever poses and he bent over right in front of me and his butthole's right there and I mean I'm saying I'm not trying to get gross, but it's a naked body, right? And I just had to like at least that's a fun story I get to like break the ice with a little bit. But for the most part, it's just like you're just looking at a body. I'm learning from this. The sex is removed, all that stuff. It's not, like the size of somebody's genitalia or how big the lady's breasts are or anything sexual like that. I'm trying to look at it more analytically, right? And the thing is, once you start talking like how I just talked to average people that would look through your stuff, they're turned off. They're just like, okay, like I can't comprehend what you're saying anymore. You're talking too real talk, and it's serious now. And when you were saying like I draw naked people or their suggestive photos, they can kind of go like like the average person would probably start making sex jokes or little like like little ribs on you. But when you start saying talking about analytical drawing and anatomically, you're using words that are serious that aren't in that world. When you're talking about that, that's helped me. I'd recommend you guys try that out. The chocolate starfish. Yeah, we used to call it that all the time. Jordan, what panel was the muscle reference for? Muscle reference? Maybe I'm confused. I don't think there was one. Yeah, I saw the update too. I think it's just animation stuff, I believe. I didn't look any further once I heard it was just animation, but yeah, no problem. I hope that helps. So we're gonna draw. Oh, what the hell? That's gross. All right, so we're gonna get the head here, and I just want to see. Actually, you know what? Let's try this out. Sometimes this is kind of fun. I'm gonna duplicate the knockout layer. I'm just gonna drag it down, and this pretty much makes it like a shadow anyway. And I gotta be careful because when I color it, I don't want it to be that solid. But the outline might be nice. We can always draw over it. I'm gonna go edit, transform, free transform. Just to kind of get a little bit of perspective on it. It's not perfect. But we can always erase it later if we don't like it either, right? So I'm actually going to have to open up SketchUp here. So let's do a quick save. We got the sag and 1 here on the left. And we're going to have to slap that puppy in here. Word wrap. Save as safely. Smaller files. What? Oh, you're talking about some of the updates. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll have to check into that. Like that stuff sounds legit. How has the webcomic been going? When does it drop? Webcomic's going a little slower than I'd like it to. That's fine. It's not a big deal. Uh, I'm just looking at. I'm making progress, and it actually feels good when I sit down to draw. It's one of the fewest times that I can remember where it actually just feels good to sit down and work on my stuff. So it's going a little slow, but what I'm saying the release date is anyway, and I don't want to be too nailed to it, but remind me later, is the end of this month anyway. I want to start posting pages first on my Patreon, and then April sometime. Most likely end of April we'll post online, maybe early March. But definitely using Patreon as my it makes more sense because I know not everybody can support me with money. I get that, and I don't expect that. But those that are able to, I would like to be able to hook them up as much as I can. All right, so here's the second one. We got the awesome model again, which is great. So you guys might check this out. I'm just going to quickly run through this. This might help you guys out when you bring models into SketchUp if you're looking to bring in like line art. So all you got to do. What will the release date? I'm thinking. I've been noticing a lot of people have been doing like 1 page a week. I'm aiming for like 3 pages a week, but we're gonna see. I don't want to shoot my foot, shoot myself in the foot. Maybe I'll do 2 pages to start with. We'll see. I don't want to say anything just yet because I don't want to give false, I don't want to say false hope, but I am going to be actively pursuing the project until it becomes not fun anymore. So. Okay. So what you do is you just bring any file here to Manga Studio, and you go up to Edit under I think this is the default tray or the styles window. And you get all these little buttons here you can click and it'll actually change like all these settings. So what you're looking for is like get rid of everything. You don't want any sky, any background. Usually you got to change it to white, right? So it's like white paper. These guys, normally you don't have to worry about them. You don't want, or we're going to get to that, but this one here, the style, we want this guy right here. Turn off transparency. We don't want to be able to see through it. And then right here, this is the special one. So we're going to turn off the endpoints, the extension. All we want, really, are the edges turned on and the profile. And I usually bring this to 1. And what it does is it just makes it like 1 pixel. Right? And this way I can import it right into Manga Studio or Photoshop or whatever we're using. And it'll be pretty much good to go. Right? So what I'm going to do here, will your webcomic be on Tapastic or Webtoons? It'll definitely be on Tapastic. Since I found it, I love that thing. I check it pretty much daily. I would actually go as far as say, no, it's a fact. My experience with webcomics in general has been 90% through Tapastic. Since I found it, I've been reading a lot more comics than I would if I was on a computer. That's just me, but I think because I'm getting into the cell phone stuff, like the smartphone, it took me a very long time to get into it. But now that I have it, it's like, oh, this is cool. So I'm looking at the perspective here. I just want to make sure it's pretty tame. It's a little bit more like this. It's a little Let's just take a look. Normally I would actually here. Let me do this so you guys don't have to see this. I'm going to go to Window, Canvas, New Window, so it duplicates our canvas, right? And I can just drag this over to my second monitor for a second, just so that I can see the shot, so that while I'm in SketchUp here, I can sort of go, okay, this is where we're going to go. Little monkey, where do you personally draw the line between tracing and copying and referencing to make your own? Yes, Jake, this is SketchUp. Okay, so my stance on tracing and copying and referencing, do what you got to do to get the job done. When I first started out drawing, it was a lot of, if I can't draw something by memory or something like that, then I'm not an artist. Personally, the more I draw comics, the faster the deadlines are. And then as well, I notice that the more work you can get done faster makes you more money, right? So to actually draw the specific line, for me, it's more a case of I don't want it to look like I brought in a 3D model, not to hide something, but because it doesn't necessarily look good. Like if I just had this image in here, it might be fine, but I'm going to bang this up. I'm not going to redraw it. I'm just going to start knocking out some of these lines and putting in new lines and stuff like that to give it a more organic feel. Because I don't want the reason for that is if I'm asking somebody to read a comic book, I don't want them to be taken out of that experience. I don't want them to go, oh, this character looks cool, and then, wow, this looks like a 3D background. I don't want that. I want it to, as best I can, is it's like a compromise, as best I can to marry the two together, as well as hit deadlines. And to me, clarity and deadlines trump style and art quality for comics. To me, it used to be the other way around. I would spend days and days on a comic page because I would render everything out. And then once I went digital and started playing around a little bit more with this stuff, it was like, wow, I don't have to draw backgrounds as much anymore. Sweet, and now I can do more elaborate backgrounds in less time. And this is it's going to be different for everybody. I still talk to people that actually on Valentine's Day when I had a convention, somebody came up to me and they were talking. We were just shooting the breeze, and they were saying how they used to do comics, and nowadays comics are garbage because everybody just uses 3D models to do it. And I bit my tongue for a little bit, but then he started saying some pretty gross stuff about it just being like it's not art. And that's where I was kind of like, well, excuse me, but the models I do or the comics I do, just because I'm using a model doesn't mean it's easy. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't have to draw this over, but I'm not just leaving this stuff. There's a lot of thought that goes up to just putting a model in there, and that's the difference. It's knowing, I guess, not necessarily just when to use it, but why you're using it. Yeah, it's actually pretty important. But to just use it as necessarily like a way that you don't have to learn how to draw something, that's different. That one I kind of have a that one I take a little bit of I don't want to say offense to, more concern with, because I'd rather people don't just skip things altogether, understand the structure, like how it's made, how volume and perspective and that stuff flows together to make the object. But I'm not gonna poach anybody or yell at anybody for using 3D models. Mostly because I use it, but I understand why people use it myself. Yeah, making a model yourself is hard. The Seg and One ship that we just had, I actually commissioned out to somebody. And that was even, I read this book. You guys may have heard of it, the 4 Hour Work Week. And that book actually changed my thought process on, sorry, I'm trying to do a bunch of stuff here. Changed my thought process on paying people to do work for me, because to me, what I would normally do is I would just come in here and I would make the model. I would go into Google or YouTube or whatever and just sort of figure out, whoops, how to make models, because then I could make anything I wanted and all these sorts of things. But the problem, well, not the problem, but the concern that ends up happening, at least that I have. See, and this is where it's going to get weird because we got this giant model kind of coming in here. Maybe I might have to move Jessup and them as well. But anyway, the concern was, you know what? It's going to take time to learn all that stuff. Where I could be making comics, how much is it going to cost somebody to make this? I can put an offer, and maybe they'll say that's fair, and then we can work together, right, on that. But the other thing to think about is like how much you spend money to make money. Now I can, while somebody made this wonderful model for me, I'm able to go ahead and just keep making the comic as opposed to taking time to learn new things. Like there's only so many things. Like I actually talked about this, I believe, in a previous video where it was like there's so many tools that I feel people get, and I have, get locked into always learning something new, a new style to draw, new this and that, and you end up not making your thing that you want to make. It just starts getting clouded. You're always learning a new style, a new way to do something, a new way to draw, and it's very that is pretty scary because once you start going down that path, you know, it's hard to get out of it. So you can see what's happening here. I'm gonna have to move that text. You know what? We're gonna turn that text all the way off. We don't need it, and I don't want Jessup right in the middle of the panel. This is one of the cool things with digital. It's just being able to like move your figures around, trying to find like optimal things, you know. Is it so bad if it's up like that? Let me just bring them up. Get Momo back up there. Ah, he's in the middle, isn't he? Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. I can always move these guys. It's no big deal. Just like little puppets here. Make a new folder here. Just gonna call it BG for background. And then this one, we get to just make some fun background stuff. Jake, do you have any tips on placing characters into scenes? I can always draw the characters really well, but struggle when I try to place them into a scene. Well, you could just see what I just did there. That's one way to get around it. The other thing I recommend always is thumbnails. I think you can figure a lot of that out with a quick thumbnail of where your characters are going to be in a scene, right? Like this panel doesn't even have to be legit, but like if I was drawing what we just did here, you know, like I would have that. I'm a big fan of just quickly putting in like a perspective grid of what you think the shot would look like in your head. If you don't know, grab a comic book or watch a movie or look on Google, right? You'll be able to see perspective grids in shots or things that people have done that kind of mirror what you're thinking. And then from here, you can I would just like gesture in. Okay, so I want a guy here and like a lady over here, something like that. You got the Sagan one spaceship is over here or something, you know, and you get your background. Just by just this, like there was no real work involved in this, but this gives me enough information to know what's kind of going on with that scene, right? So when we're doing this, I can just totally go, okay, now I just need to draw this bigger. And if you're working digital, you know, or if you're not, you just redraw it. But if you're working digital, you can just, you know, go like that. Just kind of blow it up and now you kind of know what you're basing the rest of your drawing off of, and you can kind of go in there and noodle and do what you got to do there. I hope that helped anyway. I always, again, encourage people to just keep checking out perspective grids and drawing like cylinder people and stuff. I found I started getting the biggest gains when I was doing that stuff. When I was starting to draw more perspective grids. Because then you can really, you can get, okay, I guess the other side too, and I'm all over the place. You can hear my brain's like jumping everywhere and I'm stuttering here. But if you draw figures first, that's cool too. Just once you have your figure, the initial figure, put a perspective grid that fits them, and you might have to adjust that figure. Like if I drew Jessup first here, then I know I got to start going. Okay, so there's perspective going like this, right? And I can draw this out to the whole panel, and now I know everything is going to fit in there, fit in within that perspective because it has to, or else it's going to start looking really weird. And it works great for like really dynamic panels as well. Yeah, thank you for all the questions tonight, you guys, as well. Really do appreciate it. You can look; it's almost like 8:45 already, and I feel like we just started this thing. Digital Drew, do you have a list of conventions you're going to be on your website or Twitter? I do not. I don't think I'll be going to any conventions this year. I went to one in February, and it's the same thing. I kind of went to some local conventions over the last, I'd say, year and a half now, just starting to get my toes wet. and I don't have as much fun trying to sell just prints. Like it's cool. Like if I have a local convention, I'll most likely go to try to sell prints because it's I don't want to say it's free money, but it's money, right? And if you're drawing, the struggle to get money is always there, and conventions are a wonderful opportunity to get that, uh, so you can live off stuff, right? Live off your art. That's like the dream for like so many people. But I want something else. I want Jessup King stuff there. That's the big push I'm trying to have. I want to have my comic book stuff there. I want to try to sell people a comic book. And unfortunately, this is a web comic. So what I plan on doing, maybe or most likely it'll be next year, not this year, is just printing them out. Because if you look at the size, I've tried to format it in a way as well where I can print these out as mini comics. So this would literally be one page here, add the exact same size on the other side, and then two more down here. So it's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, like a regular printer paper if you guys have here. Fold it in half and then fold it in half. Like fold it down and then fold it over. That's the size of traditional mini comics. And the idea that I would like to have anyway is to get like the first, like possibly, I don't want to say the first story, but maybe like the first 10 to 20 pages and try to sell that to people so that they can go and check out the webcomic. Because where I'm trying to go with it is just trying to get as many eyes on my stuff as possible. So that's why I'm trying to get it out. The web's the best way, always will be the best way. And that's because everybody's on the internet for the most part, right? And people like to share things and retweet and stuff like that. And just let it grow that way. Get more people interested in what I do that way. And then who knows where it goes from there. What I would like to do is, again, pitch this to publishers as well. Maybe even places like Scholastic. I know that might sound weird. It's not like an image or something, and not that there's anything wrong with those places. I think Scholastic is it's an interesting place to go. Or places like that, places that print those kinds of graphic novels. If you guys go into like the young adult comic book section, look for anything by Scholastic, like Cleopatra in Space was a web comic that got turned into that. Doug Tenaple, the guy that did Earthworm Jim, he's done a whole bunch of comics for um, Scholastic and stuff. Amulet is a wonderful book. Missile Mouse, lots of great stuff. Lots of great stuff. But it's an opportunity that I don't necessarily have to always go to conventions to try to get this. But it's got to start somewhere, and where it's going to start is just on the web. Get that grassroots sort of thing going, right? Little Monkey, what's the 4-Hour Work Week? It's a book by, one second, let me get, Tim Ferriss, I believe it's called. Now it doesn't, like, there's no way an artist is going to work 4 hours a week. Theoretically, you could if you had a certain style. But the book's premise is pretty much to get out of working in the office or working a day job or working in retail. It's more of like working for yourself. And this is the book here. There's tons of resources you can already check online for this thing here. The 4-Hour Work Week, whatever. Escape the 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. So there's some terminology in here I don't really care for it, but there's a lot of really good ideas in there. And theoretically, the idea, and it actually is really awesome for artists because we can work anywhere. Especially, I don't want to say if you're just digital, you can, but digital comics, or sorry, digital artwork allows you to be able to be mobile and theoretically be mobile, right? And work anywhere, which is great because it doesn't tie you somewhere. You can actually go to conventions and also do actual work, while you're waiting for things to happen and all that sort of stuff. And it actually, that's one of the things that tickled my fancy when I heard about the book was just sort of like that ideology of how he was talking. But what I wanted to say is what really got me interested in it was when he started saying things like delegating your work or paying people to do a job that your time is better spent doing something else. So maybe you're not the best writer, so maybe hire a writer. How much does a writer cost? Don't know. You got to look into it, right? But the amount of time it will take you to learn to write something, as opposed to have somebody else write your idea as you give input, who know? Like that's huge because that money you're putting in, you're getting out, and it doesn't mean necessarily pay for everything. He has a really good rule in there of just you know, only pay for something if it's a percentage of what you would get. So I'm not going to pay for something like by drawing this. Uh, I'm not necessarily making money off of this right now, but when it does, then I can totally pay somebody else to color it. I don't need to color it anymore. I can get somebody that might color the way I'm going to color, and I can just pay them because I'm still making money off the pages. I'll make less money total because I'm paying somebody, but now I get to make more pages. So then theoretically, you're making more money. Do you kind of see how that works? It's a really cool. For me anyway, it was a change of opinion, sort of like how I thought of things, which is great. It was really refreshing to read that as well. So I just had to put a little contour line around there. So this panel is pretty much done. Let's just zoom out here. Turn off our roughs. Hey Jojo. Yeah? Talking sass? Hey buddy. Jessup's getting a little sassy here. So yeah, some of this I don't really like this background that much. It's kind of boring looking. Put some rocks up here. We turn these into some rocks. It might be a little weird to have Momo's shadow there while he has no shadow, so maybe I'll just put his in color. It is a little odd. Actually, let me get some lines kind of coming this way too. What I'm doing here is just sort of drawing over the perspective that's in there, and it just helps guide the eye a little bit. Doesn't got to be perfect at this stage. Right. And like I say, this model is not staying like this. We're gonna make it look less like a model. Alright, let's hammer to the next one. Amulet. So I actually want to read Amulet. I haven't read it. And it's on my Amazon wish list to get like the box set. I think of like 3 or 4. I think I'm like issue like traits number 6 now or something like that. But to be honest with you, when I buy comics nowadays, I don't know what it is. It's been like this for at least 2 years now. But the first thing I'm always looking at when I'm buying a new comic is manga, and I don't know why. There's something fresh about it, and it's still fresh to me. It's very, I don't know, I don't know. The artwork, everything, the action, the angles. It's different than what I normally get when I go to the comic book store every month to pick up my comics. You know, it's a fresh. It's different. It's very satiating. Like I feel like I'm being nourished by reading this stuff. I just picked up. I made a couple posts about it. I always mess up the name. Maxima, I believe it's called, and it's from the creator of Berserk. If you guys enjoy that, I love it, and I'm actually seriously considering taking some serious time off just to learn a new, more. I don't want to say more manga style, but a different style than sort of like the American style of drawing, where I still feel like I have a lot of that in what I do, and just sort of get a little bit more into that realm. There's just so many really awesome things that I'm seeing out of there, and I'm like, I want to incorporate some more of that stuff. So I forgot these little guys. So these little like creature things, they come up and they distract Jessup here, right? Like he's like, oh, look at all these little like cute little butterfly kind of things. And what I thought would be a good idea is to include them in the bottom of this panel. Sort of like if anybody notices them, they don't like, necessarily just show up. They're in the panel below. You color for free. Hey, yeah, no, thank you for asking the question. Manga is life. I'm starting to think that, to be honest with you. I do enjoy my superheroes, and I never will stop loving them. But like I say, I don't know what it is. Manga's got it tickles me where I need to be tickled, and I never thought it would. I just never saw it. I mean, not all manga's for everybody, and I don't look for it either. I don't even really necessarily know what style of manga I like. There's a lot of really good stuff out there. I do wish more people that I knew read manga. Actually, you know what? That might be a lie. I think a lot of people I know read manga. I just don't ask them enough. Cool. So we got these little things that don't even really look like things yet. They'll look better when we get some color. Alright, so we're going to make another folder here. We're going to call this one Jessup. I checked out the one you mentioned on Twitter and I have it ready up. It looks good. Yeah, that's the one I was just talking about there. I'm going Takehiko Inoue. The manga artist works mainly in brush, so it can be a good transition for working just in brush. Wow. Yeah, it is hard to work. Yeah, you get used to it though, Fire Freak, for sure. I mean, just like reading comics in general. A lot of people don't even know how to read comics, American comics and stuff, because they don't understand where they're supposed to look. The same rule applies with manga. It's even if you know how to read comics, it's still like a learning process. Yeah. Dr. Sparkle. I'm doing an art exercise right now where I go to a random character description generator and draw them out. Hey, that's awesome. It's a wonderful way to stay creative. Okay. So let's draw this. This is gonna be a fun one to draw. I'm gonna start with this big old meaty hand. This looks real cool. Just actually flip it here. All right. Oops, I forgot the bottom part of the glove. So it actually looks like we got about 5 minutes left. So I'm just gonna reach out to you guys. If you guys had any more questions or if you guys needed help with anything, please go ahead and ask. I just fired in the chat. It's been awesome tonight so far with all the questions. Thank you again. And the big old happy cheeks. Um, John, were you talking about the Head Loomis book or Fun with a Pencil? Actually, here, let me find it for you. I think all of the Loomis books are amazing. But I just want to show you the one specifically. The head would probably make more sense if that's what you're looking for. But he has one book that's pretty much like everything. Figure drawing for all it's worth. This book here. This is the one that's always talked about. It's pretty expensive too. I don't know why. Maybe it's out of print now. It used to be in print for a while. Just search online. But yeah, all of his books are amazing. This one's pretty much like covers everything. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Sage, trying to catch up. Excuse me. This looks like you were doing the render to the webcomic page that you were roughing out in the last video. Yeah, I didn't have. It sounds lame, but I didn't get a chance to get any further than last time. But once we finish this panel here, it's just a. What I figured out I'm going to do is work in batches of 3. So I'm going to go back and then we're going to ink and color the first 3 pages and move on to the next ones after those ones are done. What ended up happening was I had a Patreon mix-up, which is actually really bad. 2 actually. One was I guess I must have put something wrong down in the reward section. I screwed that up. And then the other one was a message that I had sent to somebody didn't send, so I never knew that they got back to me, which is horrible because it just makes it seem like I'm not paying attention or I'm ripping people off or something. And I absolutely hate that. So I had to get that straightened out. So I had to do some extra work that I didn't know I had to do. So in that case, like Patreon's like that, people have paid money, right? So I have to take care of those individuals absolutely first over my own personal work. And it's just a little mix up that happened there, which was again a little bit of a bum out. Well, thank you, Digital. Appreciate that, man. Actually, here, I'll do something since you're in here. What character would you like sketched in the back? Normally, what I've been doing is I just sketch either Jessup or Momo. But if you'd like somebody else, I can do that for you as well. Well, thank you, Matthew. You guys are too kind. You asked for a naked. So the sketches in the back, they're like bust shots. So I guess he would just be you just he looked the exact same just with nipples. So he was. I was gonna say yeah. Naked Jessup. That's too funny. Okay. All right. So Jessup's pretty much done. Let me just bring that up there. Oops. Let's take off just so we can kind of see what we're looking at. Looks a little drunk. All right, that's fine. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you, honestly, so much for all of your guys' participation and questions tonight. That was awesome. We had quite a bit of people in here, more than usual, and was able to see some familiar faces that haven't graced our stream in quite a while. But thank you guys so much. Like I said at the top of the video, I actually should remind you guys too. Maybe you're new to this, new to the channel and all that good stuff. This show here, this live Scribbles show, is every Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you came in a little bit late, just look at your clock wherever you're at, and look at the time and just subtract an hour from it, and that's when it starts next Wednesday. I have been trying to stream throughout the week as well, so please subscribe to the channel. I believe you guys get sent an email when I go live. You guys can actually let me know if that's not true. It's kind of a big deal. So if people are getting notified that I go live, that's great. And if not, well, then we're gonna have to fix that as well. The other thing that I brought out in the beginning was I just released a video a day or two ago. The productivity video I was talking about, and what makes it so important is it's not that it's like the greatest video ever or anything like that, or that I know something you guys don't know, but the reason I wanted to get that video out was I get a bunch of questions all the time about how do you find the time to do this and that. I'll tell you right now, willpower is always going to be the most important thing that you can build, is learning how to sit down and draw when you don't want to. I think that's the single most hardest thing for all artists to learn. Some people can naturally just sit down and do it. A lot of us can't. So willpower is the one thing. But if you're looking for some tools that I use to stay productive by basically not keeping anything on my memory so that my mind is always open to have brand new ideas and always be asking new questions and trying to get better and learn things, and again, like I say, always be a student, then check out those videos. They're just how I stay productive, they're called. There's a long version and a short one. I do hope that there's at least something on there that'll help you guys out. Even just, again, if I was to recommend, just I can't just recommend because I use a lot of them, but one of them is just meant for projects. So if like somebody said in the chat earlier, you got a lot of things going on. The one software I was talking about is Trello. It's a very easy system to just, a calendar is great to keep track of due dates and stuff, but sometimes you need to move things around. And for me, Trello has been amazing. It also lets me keep track of maybe there's a project that might happen and I'm waiting on something. Instead of me always having to remind myself or remember it, I can just put it to a place that I know. So check those videos out. There's got to be something in there that, even if anything I just said sounds remotely interesting to you, there's got to be something there that you'll enjoy as well. And I want to say thank you guys again. Really do appreciate it. Head on over to my website, jonathanrector.com. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there if you guys would like to check that out as well. And until next Wednesday, you guys, keep reading comics, keep making comics, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye. Okay, so it should be done. I just wanted to address some of you guys there. Yes, I guess. Interesting. Yeah, Sunday was daylight savings time. I think there's some places in the world actually that don't do that. Which I don't know, I just found that out, which is actually kind of funny. But yeah, it's right now it's 9 p.m. So anyway, see you later, guys. Sorry you missed it, SP art. I'll see you next week anyway for it. But okay, Australia. Okay, so yes, I don't think you guys get it, or do you? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, okay, I'm gonna say it. Bye bye.